The diplomatic chamber of the Azurian palace gleamed with bioluminescent crystals that pulsed in rhythmic waves across the vaulted ceiling. Johnson stood awkwardly near a marble pillar, his standard-issue Earth diplomatic uniform feeling suddenly too tight around his collar. He had been on dozens of first-contact missions, negotiated trade agreements with species that communicated through color changes, and once accidentally started a dance-off with a hive mind collective. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. Princess Olivia sat across the obsidian table from her mother, Queen Sienna, there for eyes to where humans expected them. Two smaller ones near their temples, all fixed on the small bouquet of earth flowers Johnson had presented moments ago. The flowers, imported at great expense from Earth's botanical reserves, were wilting slightly in the ammonia-rich atmosphere of the Azurian throne world. Remarkable, Queen Sienna said, her translator device rendering her musical language into crisp English. In 300 cycles, no off-worlder has ever understood the significance of the offering of intent. Johnson's mind raced. Offering of what? He had simply followed the cultural briefing prepared by Olivia, his xenoanthropology partner for the past 2 years. She had sent him detailed notes about Azurian customs, emphasizing that presenting flowers to royalty was a sign of respect and appreciation. It was supposed to be a simple gesture to smooth over negotiations for a mining treaty. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," Johnson began, his heart hammering. "I may have misunderstood the mother," Princess Olivia interrupted, rising gracefully from her seat. Her crystalline skin shimmered with what Johnson had learned to recognize as embarrassment, a pale rose hue spreading across her cheekbones. "Perhaps we should clarify for Ambassador Johnson." The Queen's expression shifted into what might have been amusement. Her skin tone remained the cool blue of royalty, but her smaller eyes crinkled slightly. "My daughter has been working alongside you for how long now? 2 of your Earth years?" 23 months, Your Majesty," Johnson replied automatically. "And in that time, did she mention the tradition of the Petal Covenant?" Johnson glanced at Olivia, whose rose blush had deepened to nearly crimson. She wouldn't meet his eyes. "The Petal Covenant," the Queen continued, "is our oldest bonding ritual. When a suitor presents flowers to a royal daughter in the presence of the Queen herself, it is a formal declaration of marriage intent. The flowers represent the suitor's willingness to transplant their life into foreign soil." The room seemed to tilt. Johnson gripped the edge of the table. "But I didn't. Olivia told me this was just a diplomatic courtesy." "Did she?" The Queen's tone carried a weight that made Johnson's stomach drop. She turned to her daughter. "Olivia, did you properly inform Ambassador Johnson of our customs?" Princess Olivia finally looked up, and Johnson saw something in her expression that made his breath catch. "Guilt, yes, but also hope. And fear, I may have." Simplified the explanation, Olivia admitted quietly. "Simplified." The Queen's voice could have frozen hydrogen. "You manipulated an ignorant off-worlder into proposing marriage to you." "I didn't manipulate." Olivia's hands trembled slightly. "Johnson is not ignorant. He's brilliant and kind, and has more courage than any Azurian noble I've ever met. He negotiated peace with the Centauri Collective using nothing but logic and persistence. He learned our language in 6 months when most species take years." "He is standing right here," Johnson interrupted, finding his voice, "and would appreciate being part of this conversation." Both royals turned to him, Olivia's expression mortified, the Queen's unreadable. Johnson took a deep breath. The diplomatic part of his brain was screaming at him to apologize, to claim cultural ignorance, to back away gracefully. But another part, the part that had spent 23 months working 18-hour days with Olivia, learning to read her shifting skin tones, sharing terrible coffee substitutes during late-night research sessions, laughing at the absurdity of galactic bureaucracy, that part made him pause. "Your Majesty," he said carefully, "I respect Azurian traditions, and I understand the gravity of what I've apparently done. But I need to understand something first." He turned to Olivia. "Did you engineer this because you actually want to marry me, or because you need a political alliance with Earth?" Olivia's skin shifted through several colors: rose, embarrassment, blue, uncertainty, and finally settling on a soft violet that Johnson had never seen before. Her voice was barely a whisper. "The first one." "Oh," Johnson said eloquently. The queen made a sound that the translator rendered as a sigh. Humans, so dramatic, she stood, her presence filling the room. Ambassador Johnson, you have 3 options. First, you may claim cultural ignorance, and we will annul the Petal Covenant with no dishonor to either party. Second, you may proceed with a formal betrothal period, as is traditional. Third, and I mention this only because my daughter clearly did not think this. 3, you may refuse outright, which would bring considerable shame to Olivia, but would not affect Earth-Azurian relations. Johnson's mind raced through possibilities, consequences, political ramifications. The logical choice was option 1. Clean, simple, diplomatic. He looked at Olivia, really looked at her. At the scientist who had stayed up 3 nights straight to help him prepare a presentation to the Galactic Council. At the princess who had once punched a trade delegate for making a disparaging comment about primitive Earth customs. At the woman whose skin turned soft violet when she looked at him. Can I have option 4? He asked. The queen raised one eyebrow ridge. There's no option 4. I'd like to court her properly, human style. Let her decide if she actually wants this after I've done things the right way. For a long moment, silence filled the chamber. Then Queen Jersiana laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. You want to court my daughter? After she's essentially proposed to you? Yes, your majesty. You humans are absolutely mad, the queen said. But her skin had shifted to a warm gold that indicated approval. Very well. You have 6 months. Court my daughter, learn our ways properly, and then we will revisit this Petal Covenant. She fixed Johnson with all 4 eyes. But know this, Ambassador, if you hurt her, no diplomatic immunity in the galaxy will protect you from me, understood? Your Majesty. As the queen swept from the room, Johnson finally allowed himself to look directly at Olivia. She was staring at him, her skin cycling through colors too fast to identify. So, he said awkwardly, dinner tonight? I hear there's a great Terran restaurant in the diplomatic corridor. Olivia laughed, a sound like music. You're really going to do this? After I tricked you? You didn't trick me. You just accelerated the timeline. Johnson smiled. Besides, someone told me that humans are good at adapting to unexpected situations. I think I'm going to regret teaching you that. Probably, Johnson agreed. But you're stuck with me now. Her skin settled into soft violet again, and Johnson realized he'd need to learn what that color meant. He had 6 months, after all. And maybe, just maybe, this diplomatic disaster would turn into something extraordinary. Because that's what humans did best, turn impossible situations into opportunities. Even when those situations involved alien princesses, cultural misunderstandings, and flowers that apparently meant, will you marry me? The galaxy had no idea what it was in for.